you've been able to identify in your program at least 150 women who have problems with some kind of substance, be that substance cocaine, marijuana, or alcohol, who have these problems when they are pregnant. That's
correct. That's correct.
And so the thrust of the program really is to deal with women who are pregnant. Now, what impact does this have? I mean, a woman who is pregnant, who is an abuser of substance and et cetera, what impact does that have on the person?
Well, what we have found out in working with these ladies, found out that self-esteem is very low. They also set up a defense mechanism when they come in because they're afraid to tell you their life. We have problems with, of course, there's a dysfunctional family. They usually come from dysfunctional family, which includes they have been abused themselves, physically abused or sexually abused. So we're looking at these ladies, they have a problem more so than, per se, the alcohol. The family problems, too. Some of them may have support, some of them may not have support. So when they come to our program, we kind of serve as their support if there's no one in the house or in the home that would help them.
And so these women bring a whole array of problems outside of the fact that they are pregnant to the program, and the program is designed not only to deal with the problem of pregnancy, but also some of these other problems. I think Ms. Wade indicated the whole problem of self-esteem. Now, let's deal with that, because I think that that's a very, very important element. What do you find in terms of dealing with this as a question, this whole question of self-esteem with these women?
Well, basically, you know, when you're talking about women, you're talking about, in our society, it's pretty much a male-dominated society. And the fact that many treatment centers were catered to men, so now we're developing centers that cater to women, you know, and choose to service women's needs, women's special needs. Oftentimes when women need to come into treatment, they have no one to keep their children. But the whole perception of the female drug addict is one that's lower than probably the male drug addict. You know, a woman is supposed to be a good mother, you know,
There's stereotypical kinds of attitudes.
Sure. And so when women come in for treatment, they bring these issues with them. Family members oftentimes are really down on the women, as well as their partners. Even if their partners are using, they have a hard time with the woman being pregnant and chemically addicted and using on top of her pregnancy. And the bottom line is the addiction doesn't stop just because a woman becomes pregnant.
And so these women have been involved in substance abuse long before they became pregnant, and being pregnant is almost incidental to the fact of them being involved. Is that essentially what we're saying?
That's essentially
what we're saying.
We find that even with the pregnancies before, you know, Joanne is going to talk about the playroom, but there are other siblings, you know, older siblings, and oftentimes they have used throughout their pregnancy with the older sibling. So there's a whole host of problems with the children as well.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about the impact that this has upon families. A mother is pregnant. Generally, she might have another child at home, and etc. Let's talk about what do you mean the playroom? What concept is this?
Well, I'm in charge of the playroom. When our mothers come 4 days a week, we encourage them to bring their children with them. What we're looking for when they leave their children in the playroom is the makeup of their physical development, their intellectual development, their perceptual development, language and delays. We're also looking for, is there a bondage with this mother? Because we can usually find that out when they first come in. If the child cries very heavily when the mother walks out the door, then I know there's some bondage there. But if the child doesn't cry, then I know he has not spent, or she has not spent that much time with the mother. And you'll find that with our clients, the majority of the time that these children spend with a grandmother or another relative, opposed to the mother herself. We have found in the past few years that with our children, they're quite alert, which is very surprising as far as their skills are concerned. Then we also find children who have a lack of play, organization. They're unable to play simply because if they're home with their mother, the mother does not allow them to go outside. So they're not exposed to the world around them. And this is the first thing that we see are social skills. They are very angry at their mother. We begin to see that. Because
that comes out through the children.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. The mother doesn't see that very often, but we can see it in the playroom, and it really comes out when they go into the public school because of acting out behavior. And so that's what I do in my child development class, is to let the parents know what effect the alcohol or either cocaine have on the child. You may not see it in infanthood, you may not see it in toddlers, but it does come out sooner or later. I think it's up to the age of 21, there's a possibility that the effect of cocaine or alcohol will work on a child.
Very good. Ms. Boyd, I think that one of the things that we've talked about these women becoming involved with substance abuse before they become pregnant. But let's get back to what might be even a more basic problem, and I think it also probably has to do with self-esteem again. But why is it that women become involved with substance abuse, with substance? I mean, have we not, over the last many years, talked about say no to drugs and on and on and on, that somehow this information has penetrated to a large number of people that, and that they don't become involved? I mean, what's their story when they come in and tell you why they became addicted?
Oh, that's a very complex question. I think that there are many issues that feed into why a person is chemically addicted. One of the things is the majority of people who are chemically addicted have had at least one or two parents who are chemically addicted. So they may have grown up in an alcoholic home. And at this time, there's scientific research that points to the fact that there may be some relation there. You know,
genetic connection between.
Yes, that's correct. There may be some genetic connection, you know, from parents. So it's almost like it's passed on. And the other fact is that, as Joanne mentioned before, that many of them come from dysfunctional families. Whenever alcohol is involved, there is a higher rate of violence oftentimes. So there may have been battering with this child's mother, or the children may have suffered physical abuse and sexual abuse. So many times as a child, they carry this baggage over into their young adulthood. And of course, if there is that type of family dysfunction, many of these women have not been parented themselves. So they come into treatment with all this baggage, and at AASAP, we do believe in the treating the whole self, treating the whole person concept, which means their issues of low self-esteem, depression, the sexual issues. Some of these issues may take years of psychotherapy even later to try to work with.
Well, now, how successful,